Netflix's Wednesday has always thrived on big twists, and Season 2 Part 2 didn't disappoint. Not only did it push the story forward in shocking ways, but it also introduced a new concept that's bound to change everything for Season 3, the Alpha Werewolf. This idea isn't just a throwaway detail either, because it directly impacts Enid Sinclair's future and completely reshapes the werewolf lore at Nevermore Academy. So while Season 2 had its ups and downs, especially in the first half, the second half came back strong, and this reveal was one of the biggest reasons why. Enid had been one of the most lovable characters since the start, but her Season 2 journey was far from simple. She finally got a taste of the popularity she had always craved, yet it wasn't exactly what she expected. For someone who had always been a social butterfly, being accepted by her peers was supposed to feel perfect. But because of her unusual werewolf late bloomer status, she still carried around that feeling of being on the outside looking in. Even when she finally found her place, there were hidden cracks under the surface. That's where Isadora Capri comes in. She's Nevermore's music teacher, though she's also hinted to be half-Hyde herself, and she plays a critical role in helping Enid understand what's really going on. Isadora tells her that she isn't just any werewolf, she's an alpha. And while that might sound like a blessing at first, it comes with a bunch of problems that are just as frightening as they are fascinating. The finale makes it clear that Enid isn't the kind of werewolf people assumed she was. Being an alpha doesn't mean she's a leader of the pack in the classic sense. Instead, the show takes that old alpha werewolf stereotype, one that was based on debunked wolf science, and flips it around. Here, being an alpha means having more power, more independence, and way less stability. That's a dangerous combination. Alpha werewolves don't need a full moon to transform, which sounds like a cool perk. But there's a dark trade-off. They usually take longer to shift for the first time, which makes them stand out and feel isolated from their pack. They also tend to wolf out when emotions run high, which we already saw happen with Enid back in Season 1. That unpredictability makes them a liability, so when a pack figures out one of their members is an alpha, they often cast them out. The result? They're left to fend for themselves as lone wolves, completely cut off from the community they desperately want to be a part of. And it doesn't stop there. For young alphas, transforming under a full moon is risky. If they lose control, they can end up stuck in wolf form forever. Once that happens, they aren't just misfits anymore, they become targets. Their own pack will treat them as outlaws, hunting them down because they can't be allowed to roam free. It's a brutal rule of survival, and it makes Enid's situation even scarier. Naturally, this revelation shakes Enid to her core. Once Isadora lays it out for her, she starts pulling away from her friends. Her time becomes limited to only a few trusted people: Bruno, Agnes, and of course Wednesday. What's heartbreaking though is that she keeps her alpha status a secret for as long as possible. The only reason Wednesday finds out is because of a body switch incident. And while Enid is scared of being discovered, her silence is more about protecting what she has. Since the first episode of Season 1, her dream has been to belong. She finally got that sense of belonging at the start of Season 2, and now she's terrified it will be ripped away from her for something that isn't her fault. But that's where Wednesday steps in. When Enid finally admits the truth, Wednesday promises she won't ever let her be alone. Even though Wednesday isn't always the warmest or most emotional person, this moment shows just how she values her roommate and her best friend. Despite all her efforts though, Enid can't outrun her fears forever. She does everything she can to keep her transformations in check, even locking herself in Lupin cages during full moons. But when Wednesday's life is on the line, literally buried alive, Enid makes the ultimate sacrifice. Knowing she would be stuck as a wolf forever, she transforms anyway to save Wednesday. It's a selfless act of love and bravery, but it also leaves her future hanging in the balance. After the big showdown, Enid can't change back. Agnes keeps tabs on her and reports that she was last seen near the Canadian border, but she has no choice but to stay on the move. With other werewolves ready to hunt her down, her life has become a desperate struggle for survival. Still, she won't be facing this danger alone. Wednesday makes it clear she's going to track Enid down and help her no matter the cost. That setup makes for a perfect entry point into Season 3. It's unlikely that Enid will stay in wolf form forever, if only because the CGI would be too expensive for the show to keep up every episode. But Wednesday's mission to save her best friend is bound to be a major storyline early on, and it could even span the first half of the season. What happens once Enid is saved is another intriguing question. If she regains her human form, she'll still have to deal with the fallout of being an alpha. She might face rejection from her werewolf peers, or she could be embraced if the pack decides to break old traditions. Either way, it'll shape her identity and her place at Nevermore going forward. Of course, this isn't the only big setup for Season 3. Netflix renewed Wednesday for another season back on July 23, 2 weeks before Season 2 Part 1 even premiered. That confidence speaks volumes because despite the 3-year gap between Seasons 1 and 2, Netflix clearly knew they had a hit on their hands. After all, Season 1 is still the most watched English-language series on the platform, beating giants like Stranger Things and Bridgerton. Co-creators Alfred Gough and Miles Millar will return, and they couldn't resist teasing what's next. In a statement, they joked in true Addams Family fashion, saying that nothing brings a family together like a good exhumation. It's the perfect hint that Season 3 will dig even deeper into the family's sinister secrets, while also pushing the characters into darker and more emotional territory. Production hasn't kicked off just yet, but Gough and Millar confirmed in late July that writing is well underway. They paused briefly during the Season 2 release, but are now fully focused on finishing scripts. The timeline is still unclear, but based on how long previous seasons took, fans might not see Season 3 until late 2027. Between filming and post-production, especially with all the heavy VFX, it takes at least 18 months to complete a season. As for the cast, the official promo photo made it clear that Jenna Ortega will be back as Wednesday, along with Victor Durbantu as Thing. But it's pretty safe to assume the rest of the Addams family will return too. Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia, Luis Guzmán as Gomez, Isaac Ordonez as Pugsley, George Garcia as Lurch, and Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester. The creators also promised that Season 3 would dig into even more family secrets and introduce new members of the Addams clan. Based on Season 2's ending, Aunt Ophelia is practically guaranteed to appear, though we still don't know who will play her. Billy Piper's Isadora Capri is also set to return, along with Hunter Duan's Tyler Galpin, since their acts are directly tied to the Alpha storyline. And of course, Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair will remain central to everything, since her fate is at the heart of the new season. Other familiar faces from Nevermore like Bianca, Eugene, Ajax, and Agnes are also likely to show up. In the end, the Alpha reveal doesn't just change Enid's story, it changes the whole tone of Wednesday. It forces the show to dig deeper into themes of identity, belonging, and loyalty, while also cranking up the danger. Season 2 left fans with a bunch of cliffhangers, but Enid's transformation might be the most emotional one yet. Season 3 is shaping up to be darker, riskier, and even more centered on the complex relationships that make the show so addictive.